All right, we are live. How is everyone doing today? I am extremely cold, hence this um, rather intense sweater, and I think it's a good thing on such a cold day as this to cast our minds back into the distant past and have a party with the ancients. That is today's theme. We're going to have a party with the ancients, and that means three things. The first thing, we are going to read some Old English. So this will be the second in the series of graded readings for Old English. So this will be number 2. And I see a question in the chat, how old is this English? We are talking at least 1,000 years old. So if you have not experienced Old English before, this will be maybe a fun surprise. It is not that similar to present day English, and so we'll have a bit of fun. Reading that. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that we have some classical Chinese. So we are going to do chapter 2 in the little public domain. It's not actually little; it's actually a big textbook. The public domain Introduction to Literary Chinese textbook that we found online, and we're going to work through chapter 2. We'll do a little bit of intro of chapter 1 if you haven't seen that. Just sort of catch up and what did we learn in chapter 1. And then finally, we are going to work on our Proto-Conlang. So we've been devising this language family over the past 6 weeks or so. And we've got to a point where we have one language with a nice fable written in it. We have some other related languages that we've sketched out just so we can see the look of them. I think what we should do is we should flesh out the proto-language a little bit more, and that'll give us a nice foundation to try and build out this Conlang that we're making. And ultimately, I'm thinking where this series is going to go is we could come up with a sort of a reasonably comprehensive sketch of a grammar for this language and a few texts, a little lexicon, and then we can move on to another language. We can do something else. So let's get it to the point where it can stand on its own 2 feet. And I think the best way for us to do that will be to have fun with the proto-language and just give it that sense of realism, like it grew out of something. It just didn't just plop into existence out of thin air, which is a thing that can happen when your Conlang is just sort of invented out of whole cloth. And so I like to put that history in there. So those are the 3 things for today that we're going to do. I think we are going to start off with some Old English. So the Old English segment is about to begin. And because we do cut these up for YouTube, I'm about to do a little intro for that. So without further ado, welcome. If you have not seen the channel before, this is a channel all about linguistics, language learning, and ancient languages, constructed language, everything language. And so today what we're going to be doing is the second in a series of Old English readings with a lot of grammatical hand-holding. And if you have not seen the first in the series, I would suggest you go look at that now. A link will be provided in the description. And once you've done that, come back here and you can continue on, because this one we're going to be assuming a few things that we've looked at in the previous video. I will go over it, but not in as much detail. So I think that's probably all I need to say, other than like, subscribe, and ring whatever bells you need to ring so that you find out when we go live or when we have a new video. Yes, okay, I think I've done my my duty there. So let's go over to a different view. Dun 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 dun. The suspense. The suspense. Okay. All right. So this is reading number 2 in the little Old English graded reader that I'm gradually building on my website. A link will be provided to that as well if you want to read along later on your own. The first reading came from the book of Matthew. The second reading also comes from the book of Matthew, just a little bit on. It is nice public domain art there. All right, so why don't we scroll down a bit? So the origin of this series is there's an old 19th century Old English reader by Henry Sweet, and I have adapted it and sort of modernized it and made it a little bit more user-friendly and given my own annotations to it. So we're about to read this text, Matthew 12, 18 to 21. So some of you may be familiar with this text. I'm going to read it out in Old English first. I don't know if I can move my camera. Maybe I can make myself a little smaller so that we can see everything, because I am not as important as this. Okay. So I'll read out the full text first, then we'll go line by line and look at all the grammatical and vocabulary bits that need looking at. All right. And I have been requested to dial up the drama when doing Old English readings, so let me attempt that. Här is min knappa, thone ich je chäs. Min je korena, on thom well je liko de min resaule. Ich asette min negast over hine, and dom he bodat theodum. Ne flit he ne hrymth, ne non man ne je hyrt his stemne on stratum. To quized hreod he ne forbryt, and smekende flex he ne adwärst. Thom the he awurpe dom to sie, and on his naman theoda je hychtath. I don't know if that was dramatic enough, but we shall continue. All right, so the deal is we're going to just chop it up into sentences and go one at a time. Should make things a bit easier. So first, don't hit the mic. First sentence. Här is min knappa, thone ich je chäs. Okay, let's do the first part first. So här is min knappa. This is actually pretty close to the modern English. Here is my, min is my. Knappa is an interesting word. It means servant, boy, young man, or servant. We have a relative of this word in modern English, knave, like thou knave, that kind of thing, which descends from a related form in Old English, knava. Knava, knappa, both meaning servant. So här is min knappa. Here is my servant. And then it continues. Thone. Thone ich yecheas. So thone, we can translate this as whom. This is the accusative singular form of the definite article se, which means he. But this form can be used as a kind of a relative pronoun in Old English. So her is min knapa, thone ich yecheas. Whom ich, I, yecheas, the past tense of yecheosan, to choose. So here is my servant whom I chose, whom I have chosen. The exact match of the uses of the various tenses in modern English and Old English don't line up exactly. So here, this is a place where we would use the present perfect. Probably in modern English, they just use the simple past in Old English. Hey, Cam. Welcome. And let's move down. The sentence continues. Min jekorena, on thom wel jeliko de min resaule. This is absolutely the hardest part of this reading, so you'll be pleased to know it's all downhill from here, if that's a good thing. I never know if downhill is good or up. I guess it depends on if you're tobogganing or walking. But the sentence goes like this. Min jekorena. Jekorena is the past, is a form of the past participle of yecheosan, which we saw just above. I'll scroll up a little. Yeah, yecheosan, to choose. This is the ancestor of modern English choose. And yecheas is the first person singular past tense form. I chose. Ich yecheas. Jekorena is chosen. So min jekorena is my chosen one. And then the hard part. On thom wel jelikode min resaule. Okay, let's break this down into little bits. So on thom, on that one, on upon whom, in whom. On could be in or on. So on thom, in whom, well jelikode. Well is just well, modern English well. Jelikode is a form, this is ancestor to the modern English verb like. I like eating French fries, this kind of like. Jelikode, in Old English, it can be used impersonally. So jelikode, it was pleasing. It was pleasing. On thom jelikode, in whom it was pleasing minre saule. Minre saule, to my soul. So this is the dative case, minre saule. So if we literally translate this segment, it is on whom or in whom it was well pleasing to my soul, which not a great translation into modern English. So we could say something like in whom my soul was well pleased or has been well pleased. So jelikan, to delight or to be pleasing to something. Jeliko de minre saule, was pleasing to my soul. Okay, that's the hardest part done. Moving on. And I have little bits on the side that explain this too on the website. They may not come through because of the font size, but you can check it out on the website if you want later. It's basically saying the same kind of thing I'm saying here. Next sentence. Ich asette minne gast over hine. Ich, we have this ich again. Ich is I. This is the ancestor of our modern English I. We lost that ch some point along the way. Ich asette, I asettan, to place. So I place, what do I place? Minne gast, my spirit. Gast is the ancestor of ghost. So I will place my spirit, I place my spirit over hine, over him. Hine, the accusative case here being used with with the preposition over. And we can translate this fairly straightforwardly as I will place my spirit over him. I've put it into the future tense here. There is no separate future tense in Old English. You can use the present tense to indicate future action. You can also use various modals, very, very similar to the way modern English works, actually. You know, if you say something like, we leave at daybreak, that's the present tense, right? But you're talking about something that's going to happen in the future. Or I fly to Morocco on Tuesday. It's that kind of thing. I've translated it here as a future form because the Latin that this is translating uses future forms. So that's that. Fairly straightforward sentence. The whole point, I'll just do a little aside here. The whole point of showing you these sentences is not so that you can rush over and take notes about, you know, this is the accusative singular masculine form of this or that, the other. It's more that you get experience reading Old English in an environment where, you know, some stuff is potentially over-explained, so that you can then have these little tidbits in your mind when you go back without me yammering on about things, and you can start to use that Old English, which you've heard explained before, as a kind of comprehensible input. And if you are interested in comprehensible input, then you should definitely check out the interview I did with Natasha Lippman last week. The first part is now up on the YouTube channel, so check that out. Link in the description. There are going to be a lot of links in this description. And the second part is going to come out on Thursday. So lots of stuff about comprehensible input there. Right. What were we talking about? Yeah, we were talking about placing spirits upon people. So ich asette minne gast over hine. I will place my spirit over him. And dom he bodath theodum. Okay. And dom he bodath theodum. So first and easy one, right? That's a bit of a gimme. Dom is the ancestor of modern English doom, and it means judgment. So, and doom and judgment, and dom, what happens to judgment? He bodath. And judgment, he bodath, proclaims, tells, shows. He proclaims, and judgment, he will proclaim theodum. Theod. This is a root meaning people. So theodum, the dative plural, to the peoples, to the nations. You may, Tolkien fans, remember Theoden, that is an Old English word meaning Lord, from the same root, Theod. Actually, the name of the German language in German Deutsch actually comes from this root as well, meaning just the language of the people. There's an Old English word, Theodisch, which means popular, in the sense of being of the people. That is an exact cognate of Deutsch. Okay. Right. So, ich asette minne gast over hine, and dom he bodath theodum. Oof. Getting epic. What's next? What's going to happen next? Ne fleet he. Here we are right here. Ne fleet he, ne he, ne hrymth. Okay. So this is an opportunity for us to talk about multiple negation in Old English. And this is something that can trip you up when you're reading, because if you're coming at it from the modern English point of view, you're thinking about, well, I don't not like it. I don't not like it. You know, you're flipping the sort of logical value, two negatives making a positive, this kind of thing, at least in some varieties of English. You have a different situation going on in Old English. When you start multiply negating a sentence, it's just like really not. So we have this negative word ne here. Ne fleet he. Fleet, contend or strive. So ne fleet he, not strives he. Often you will get a flipping of the word order when you have a negative sentence. So ne fleet he, or a negative clause. Not strives he. So you'd have something like he fleet, he strives, but ne fleet he, he does not strive, not strives he. This is this verb second word order that Old English is very fond of, as is modern German. They're very similar in that regard. Okay, so ne fleet he will not contend. Ne he ne hrymth. So here we have this double negation. Not he, not hrymth. From hryman or hryeman, that IE diphthong, something probably like hryman. In this text, we just have it as a Y, a long Y, so hryman. Ne he ne hrymth. He really doesn't shout. Hryman, to shout. So we can translate this more idiomatically as he will not contend, nor will he shout. And we go on for some more things that he won't do. Ne non man, ne gehyrth his stemne on stratum. Okay. Another negative. Nor, non. So ne, not. Non is the ancestor of none in modern English. So not, none, man, person. Ne non man ne gehyrth. And we had gehyrth in the last reading to listen to hear. So ne non man ne gehyrth his stemne, nor will no man not hear his stemne, his voice. We don't have this word in modern English anymore. It would have come out as something like Stephen. Stem, stevn, meaning voice. So you'll see it with the M and you'll see it with the F. Like German Stimme. So his stemne, nor will no man not hear his voice. So nor will any man hear his voice. These multiple negations, we have 3 negative words in this clause, but we're only really logically negating it once. So nor will any man hear his voice on stratum. Stratum, on stratum. So dative plural of strat, meaning street, road. Okay, this is the ancestor of street. Not so scary there. On stratum, in the streets. So nor will any person hear his voice in the streets. Okay. Period. End of sentence. And quick hydration break. All right. Moving on. Toquized hreod hene forbryt. Toquized. This is a, we're translating this as bruised. Toquizan, shatter, crush, break into pieces, bruise. So toquized hreod, a bruised reed. Hreod, ancestor of modern English reed. Like something that grows by the edge of the water. Toquized hreod hene forbryt. So a bruised reed, he, ne, not, forbryt, breaks. And we're putting this in the future tense because that's what we've been doing with all of these things. So a bruised reed he will not break. So we've fronted this toquized hreod, which is really the object, the direct object of the sentence, to emphasize it. And a bruised reed he will not break. We can do this in modern English too. And, and the veal I did not like, that kind of thing. Okay. So what else happens? On smälkande flax. he ne adwasht. So this is a very similar structure. We have smeokende, smoking. Smeokan is the verb to smoke, meaning for something to be giving off smoke. Smeokende flax, smoking flax. That's pretty one-to-one with modern English. He ne adwasht. So he not adwasht extinguishes or quenches. So he's not going to extinguish the smoking flax. Until, all right, we have a little bit more to go in the sentence. Erthamthe, which means before or until. Erthamthe he awurpe. He awurpe. He casts off. He has cast off. He has cast away. He has sent forth. That's, I believe, the thing we're trying to translate here. I don't remember the Latin off the top of my head, but I seem to recall it's something about sending. Some form of mitto, I think. Until he has sent forth dom. Here's our dom word again. Doom, judgment. Tosie. Until he has sent forth judgment to victory. Tosie. You may be familiar with the cognate of this word sie in Siegfried, which has that Sieg at the start, which is victory. Okay. Then we have the last line. And on his naman theoda jehuchtath. And on his naman, and in his name. So we have on being used in ways that also would translate into modern English as in. We also have in Old English, so it's a judgment call on how you want to translate these sometimes. But I think the collocation, the sort of words that go together in modern English, is trust in. So and on his naman, and in his name, theoda. Here we have that theod again that we had before in theodum. Theoda, the nations. Jehuchtath. Jehuchtath, trust. So, and in his name the nations will trust. And that is the long and short of it, as they say. So we can go back and let's go back to the whole thing here. And we can just sort of center it in the screen here, maybe make it a little bit bigger. Oh, not that big. There we go. Okay. So, her is min knapa, thone ich jecheas. Min jekorena, on tham wel jeliko de min resaule. Ich asette mine gast over hine, and dom he bodath theodum. Ne flit he ne hrymth, ne non man ne jehyrth his stemne on stratum. To quisid reod he ne forbryt, on smeokende flex he ne adwasht. Tham the he awurpe dom to sie, and on his naman theode jehychtath. So hopefully, the second time around, now you've heard all my yammering on about the various things, hopefully that was a little bit more comprehensible to you. And if you're interested in coming to be able to read Old English with a little bit more speed, then I would suggest, do a little repeat. You can take that section and listen to it a few times. If there's something you don't understand, go back to the explanation or look it up on the website there and start to get comfortable with this, the sort of the rhythms and the structures of Old English. I would say don't worry too much about endings at this point. We are trying to sort of scaffold ourselves up. You don't need to be able to write out declension charts or conjugation charts at this point. You need to be able to understand things that are hopefully a little bit interesting to you. So I think with that, I'll do my little closing. So I'm going to go back to the main camera and say thank you for all of those on YouTube who have watched this segment till the end. It is much appreciated. And I hope that you got a lot out of it. And if you like this kind of Old English stuff, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, what have you, because that's a great signal that I should be making more of it. So I think that is the end of this segment. So I'm going to take another hydration break. I'll be back in 1 second. You can just watch me drink the water if you want. Okay. So now the time of me explaining things is over, and the time for me to be learning things has begun. So we are about to look at our old friend Brandt's Introduction to Literary Chinese, and we're going to look at number 2, at chapter 2. And if I can just get my screens in order, we shall see. Luckily for the people eventually watching this on YouTube, this part will be cut, where I change the orientation of various windows. But here we go. Let's get back to business. We need to go over here. There we go. That's more like it. And I think we need a little bit more font size on this. Okay, I'm going to go back to the full screen so I can do the intro to this video. But look, hey, what's coming up, right? Okay. So, for those of you watching this on YouTube, welcome. My name is Colin Gorey. I'm a linguist, and my channel is all about language. It's a place for people who love language to, kind of get their fix of everything from linguistics to constructed languages to fun ancient languages to language learning strategies and tactics and tips and that kind of thing. So if this sounds like your cup of tea, then I would be very delighted if you liked videos, subscribe to the channel, click bell buttons as the case may be. We are going today to be looking at number 2 in the series on classical Chinese. So we are going to delve back in. If you have not seen the first in this series, I would say look at the link in the description and head back there before you come back here and forge ahead with chapter 2. So here we go. We are going to switch videos as if by magic. Right? There you go. Okay. So we have yesterday, a few weeks ago, I don't remember exactly how long ago it was. It was a good amount of time though. We talked about lucky and bad omens. And we had see if I can adjust here. So we translated chapter 1's text. So that, again, the video will be there. What did we learn about classical Chinese from doing this? One thing we learned was that every let's take a look in the textbook, and you'll see. You don't have to take my word for it. You look at the vocabulary, and there's a tremendous amount of word class flexibility. What does that mean? That means that you don't just have a word meaning to be able as a verb, but you also have it in a noun form, being able, ability. So this is nung. We also have a preposition-like thing here, yu, which gets translated by this textbook as in, at, on, for, among, by, than, all sorts of things like that. Here's another example, yan, which means words and language, but it also means to speak and to express. And how do you know what type, what word class it's going to be used as in the particular text? Yeah, that's the question. Sometimes, as far as I can gather, it is not especially obvious, and this is part of our challenge as we learn. So, without further ado, let us go into our second text. For those of you who are not familiar with the structure of this textbook, we have the classical or literary Chinese text on the right. We have a Mandarin text on the left, which is a translation of the classical Chinese. We're just going to focus on the text on the right. And I stayed up last night and I wrote out the text. I hope I didn't make any mistakes. So we are going to go down to our vocabulary, and we are going to translate. Okay, and my eternal struggle with the sizes of various windows. Okay, so what do we have here? We start off with a character we've seen before. This is the character that can be read Ren in Mandarin, which means a person. So we'll use this kind of glossing format, this interlinear gloss format, where we have the language's orthographic form on the first line. We'll do a morpheme by morpheme gloss on the second. So we're just going to go through, and in this case, since characters and morphemes are so tightly connected, in the Chinese writing system, we will just do essentially a character by character translation in the second, and then we'll do a free translation in the third line. So here we have Ren, and we can write person for that. What's next? Well, here's a new word, or a new character at least. Yeah, we'll talk about word versus character some other time. I'm just going to be very sloppy today. I hope no one minds. So we have ing, which we have as a shadow. So ren ing, a person shadow. I suppose we'll be learning about the relationship between these two morphemes as time goes on. But if I were to give it an initial guess, I would say something like a person's shadow. Just call that a genitive or whatever you want to call it in this case. All right, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's keep going. So we have xin here. Xin, new or recent. Let's keep it simple. We'll adjust as we go if we need to. Oh, did I get this wrong? Yeah, this is not sun, this is moon. Apologies. Let me quickly rectify my mistake. I have a little lexicon here of all of the words that we've learned. Apologies. There we go. New moon. 新月. 新月初上. So new moon, and we have this chu, which means to begin or at first. And Brandt is helping us out here by italicizing the reading that he recommends. So just. New moon just shang, which means up, top, to go up, summit, high, or best. This is that word class flexibility coming back at us. So go up is the guide here. I'm going to put a period between the two words so that we can keep our sort of one-to-one mapping. A period just means we'd normally write this with a space, but because we're using spaces to separate the different morphemes in the gloss, we need a period. Okay, so new moon, just go up. So the new moon had just risen, maybe something like that. I'll wait to do the free translation until we've seen more of the text. Okay, let's... we have next 见, 见, see. We don't get help on that one. I don't know why. I just happen to know that means that. 践行. 行. Here we have to walk, to do, to act, to carry out. So walk. By the way, because I guessed here about jian, I could be wrong that it's being used in a different context. I just know that from Mandarin. But let's just go with our guess. 践行, see, walk. What's next? 廊. We're talking about a veranda or a corridor. So yeah, let's do veranda here. That's nice. And then we have xia. I believe we had that in our first lesson. Apologies for the scrolling. Do we have xia? Huh. I can't see it. Can you? I'm going to use my my lifeline of knowing a little bit of modern Mandarin. Oh no, here it is. It's right here. What was I thinking? Xia. Beneath. Down, beneath, inferior, come down to take off. So beneath. Brilliant. Okay, see, walk, veranda, beneath. Not entirely sure what we're going to do with this yet. Do we get any help? Do we get any little notes here? Oh no, that's not Jian. Okay, those of you in the future on YouTube, you will realize, you will see my mistake. This is not Jian. This is R. So let's get it here because I don't have my proper input method set up. Let's just go. Okay, this is why it didn't make sense. A boy. Er xing lang xia. A boy walked beneath a veranda. Great. Moving on. Si. Like, similar to seem. So it's seem, yo, to be or have. Yi, ren, one. So this is actually a pretty self-explanatory character. Just the single line meaning one. Ren, person. Okay. So seem to be one person. What did it seem to be one person? What did one person seem to be doing? Oh, thank you for the scroll reminder. Ha ha ha. I always forget where my camera is on this thing. I'll see if I can. That's wrong. I see if I can just move that off a little bit to the side, potentially. No, I'll remember to scroll, he said, with utter confidence. 是有一人, then we have sway to follow. So there seemed to be one person follow Qi Ho. Qi Ho. I seem to recall that Qi is like his, hers, theirs. We're getting a gloss of he, she, it, they, this, that. But I think it will make a little bit more sense if we go Qi Ho, his behind him. I guess maybe that's the best translation. At his following behind him. I think that's the best translation. Seems a bit rude, I guess, when you write it out like that, but this is linguistics. You can't be too bashful. Okay. Then we have this is our negative particle, bu. Not. Then we have gan, which is here. Dare. Not dare. And then we have hui, gu. And the text gives us a handy bit of help here, hui gu, to look back. So we can call this look back. And I'm just going to make a little remark that we're considering those to be a set phrase there. So he did not dare to look back. Well, obviously, he thinks someone's following behind him. It's a moonlit night. Okay. What's next? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so we have this G. which is haste. Getting haste, ru, ji ru. He hastened to go in, maybe something like this. Gao, tell, and zi, elder sister. Okay. So he hastened to go in to tell his elder sister, or he impatiently went in to tell his elder sister. And now I'm going to scroll. Oop, not that much. Okay, what did the elder sister say? The elder sister said, I don't get much out of those scrolls, do I, when I font size this high? Okay, so the elder sister said, this you body. So 子如身. This you body, and then we have zhi. And oh, if I scroll down a little bit more here, we see a little bit of help. 如身之影, the shadow of your body. So we can maybe call this your, call this an apostrophe s, this zhi here. And then let's say shadow. And then we have this final particle we had before, which we didn't know exactly how to translate, but we translate it as final particle because we are scientists. All right, what's next? So I would guess that the translation here is, this is your body's shadow, the shadow of your body. You li, stand up. Dong, a lamp. Qian, before. So you stand up before a lamp, in front of a lamp. Xing, this is walk. 日下, under the sun, under, so under the sun. Let's move on a little bit. Then we have this particle jie, which our textbook says is an equalizing particle. So it indicates that a quality, a state, I'm assuming, or an action relates to two or several objects to the same extent. So I think we translate this as something like all in English. So, or in any case, something like that. Let's just gloss it as all have shadow. All right. Coming to the end of it now. And then we have this he, I believe. This is our WH question. So let's call it WH. And then we have wang, which we're given to forget. And here we have our second use of this zhi particle. Up above, we are using it as an apostrophe s, as a kind of subordinator here. But here, we're using it like we used it in chapter 1, which is the accusative case of the third person. So third accusative. And then we have this this interrogative particle afterwards. So let's call that a question mark. So something like, how could you forget this? I'm assuming that's what the translation would be. And then the final line, we have the boy. It's called a consequential particle. I actually like thereupon better as a gloss for it, so I'm going to use that. Thereupon, which we get as understand. Okay, let's do a free translation of this, because that's how we're going to tell if we've interpreted it as the text has us. So going back up to the start, let's just say the title is A Person's Shadow. The new moon had just risen. If it's the new moon, does that mean that it's dark? That means the whole thing doesn't make sense. Maybe new moon means something different for this author than it does for me. Or maybe I just don't know anything about the moon. That's always a possibility. Okay, the new moon had just risen. A boy was walking beneath a veranda. Lovely. Sorry, scroll. I will remember, probably. It seemed that there was someone following behind him. If we can maybe get some word wrap on this thing. I don't know. I think that'd be nicer. Great. Scrolling again. He did not dare, or he dared not, look back. The question is, what do we do with this haste morpheme? Is this going to be like an adverbial? Is it going to be sort of a serial verb construction kind of? He hastened to go. I am going to say something like, in haste. I'm going to make it an adverbial. He went in to tell his elder sister. His elder, I wouldn't repeat that in English, but said, "This is your body's shadow." Okay, I think I understand what's going on here. You stand up before a lamp, you walk under the sun. In both cases, there will be a shadow. So this is a kind of an if. Or whether you stand up before a lamp, in front of a lamp, or walk in the sun. I could say under the sun. I don't know. Under the sun, that works. You'll have a shadow. I don't know exactly how we should translate this all in this case. I think maybe what I would do is say whether you stand in front of a lamp or walk under the sun. Let's make this a bit freer. Walk out in the sun, you'll have a shadow. Oh yeah, always. That's a good translation. Thank you. You'll always have a shadow. How could you forget this? Then the boy understood. Excellent. Thank you, Samuel. Okay, so let's test our translation. So the learning is happening in real time here. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Before we check our translation, let's look at the notes. So here we have this note that zhi is the sign of the possessor. Here, the shadow of your body. Here we have this note about jie, which Samuel has helpfully given us the translation of always, which works here, but I think it's going to be very contextual how you translate that. Okay, and then we have some other example sentences. Can I say again, I love this textbook. It gives you great examples of all the constructions it's trying to teach you. So we have ren ren zhi, ren ren jie zhi, person person, to do the gloss, person all know. So everybody knows that. Lao shao jie zai. So old and young are all there. The question, this is a great question. Do you have to know some sort of a modern Sinitic language, such as Mandarin or Cantonese, to learn classical Chinese? No, but it helps. I actually only started learning what, comparatively little Mandarin I know because I wanted to access more resources on classical Chinese. And then, of course, it's a language, so I fell in love with it. But there are now some resources that are out there that will teach you classical Chinese without reference to Mandarin. There is a textbook that's come out recently. It's very inexpensive. It's called Classical Chinese for Everyone, or Classical Chinese is for Everyone. One of the two, by Brian Van Norden. It is a great textbook that's sort of meant to get you started. Unfortunately, not in the public domain, so we can't have it here. But that's the one I would recommend you use if you're starting now. It's a very, very gentle introduction. I have read it in the past, and I'm sure I've forgotten 90% of what's in there. You can see little glimpses, perhaps, of things I remember as we go through this. Okay, so what's next? And then we have this line, all within the four seas are brothers. Interesting. 四海之内皆兄弟也. So four seas within, four seas, possessive particle within, so within the four seas. 皆 all, 兄弟 are this. We have this nice compound of elder brother, younger brother, meaning brothers, and then this particle, which that's interesting. I am curious to learn more about it, other than to say final particle. We may not get any better than that in this book, but all right. And then we have the next thing here, which 而乃悟, the boy then understood. Consequential particle. I think then is a decent translation. Thereupon. I also like thereupon. That's kind of nice. Okay, so then we have some more examples. 乃可, it will then do. In that case, that's fine. Something like this. 百事乃遂. 100 things then follow. Everything then has gone right. That's a bit too idiomatic for me to connect with at this point, but there you go. There's another sentence for us. Okay. Oh, and then we get to see if we're right or not. Okay, so let's do it. Let's go back up. Man's shadow. Okay, I said a person's shadow. This is a really old textbook. I think I'm gonna give that to us. Okay, so then let's see. The new moon had just risen. The new moon had just risen. Nice. Okay. A boy was passing under a veranda. A boy was walking beneath a veranda. Potato, potato. It seemed that there was someone following behind him. And it seemed to him that somebody was following him. Okay, great. That's fine. He dared not look back. The boy did not dare to look back. Okay, fine, great. Here's the one I was curious about. What are we going to do with this G, this haste morpheme? Hurriedly. Okay, so Brent uses it as an adverbial as well. In haste. Hurriedly, he went in, he entered the house and told his elder sister. Okay, I said went in to tell his elder sister. That purpose isn't in Brandt's translation, so maybe it would be better to say and told. Although maybe the classical Chinese accommodates both translations. I do not know. What else? His sister said, yes, his sister said, it is the shadow of your body. This is your body's shadow. Okay, good. More or less the same. And here we have, when you are standing before a lamp or going under the sun, there's always a shadow. So whether you stand in front of a lamp or walk out in the sun, you'll always have a shadow. More or less the same. The only difference is instead of this whether, they have a when. And then, how could you forget this? And Brandt has, how is it that you forget it? The boy then understood, then the boy understood. Okay, so that's interesting. That's interesting. I feel as if this is sinking in a little. The writing system makes it quite hard. The writing system makes it hard for me anyway, because my literacy in Mandarin is not super wonderful. But bit by bit, we can start to read these texts. So I think let's give ourselves a pat on the back. I'll even do it literally. You can do it literally if you want at home as well. And I think we'll draw this segment to a close. I am going to scoot us back over here. If you have been watching on YouTube and you've gotten all the way through that and struggled with me as I've read through this text, thank you so much. And if you're in the mood to and you'd like to see more of this stuff, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, all that good jazz, and you'll see more of this kind of video. So yeah, the more I see people enjoying and interacting with this content, the more of it I'll make. So and thank you to Samuel for your help. It was great translating with you. And I will end this segment here and drink some water because I've been talking a lot. I will mute myself while I do that. Excuse me for 30 seconds or so. One of the great benefits of this kind of thing is that it's endlessly humbling to work on languages that you are not very proficient at, and I hope that this encourages people watching to do the same kind of thing, and because it's a lot of fun, and there's no need to be perfectionist about it. It's all about making progress and getting good input. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting I'm getting missives from my producer, and I'm hoping that it's not some sort of technical problem. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed this. You can tell me. I've upgraded the camera in between last week and this week, and whenever you touch anything technical to do with this setup, there's always a chance that things can go wrong, and so please let me know if this is better or if this is wonkier. It should be better because the camera's technically nicer, but you never know. I needed more powerful lighting and change the way it records in the screen, and so yeah, it's the learning curve is not only with respect to the classical Chinese. I'll tell you that right now. So I'm slightly paranoid today that there's going to be some sort of technical problem, but hopefully, fingers crossed, there isn't. Question about classical Japanese. I do not know the first thing about classical Japanese. And of course, I'm extremely interested in learning. Anything with classical in front of it is like a very, very easy sell for me, I have to say. I enjoy it quite a bit reading these ancient texts. But no, I'm sorry, I don't know very much about classical Japanese at all, or Japanese actually for that matter at all. The only Japanese stuff I know is the kind of standard stuff you learn in linguistics classes. The sort of Japanese is SVO, Japanese has a strict syllable structure, things like that. Sorry, SOV. So the most basic fact about Japanese wrong. Japanese is SOV. Right. Okay. Well, we are now at this point in the stream where I think it's time for us to Conlang. I don't know about you. I think it's time to Conlang. So I'm going to fiddle with screens and get us back to our project that we've been working on. Dun, 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 dun. And I really think I need to move my camera. There we go. Look at me. I'm up there. I'm flying. Okay, I'm going to do the... I am going to do the segment intro bit, which I'm supposed to do. Okay. Give it time to cut. Welcome. If you are watching this on YouTube, my name is Colin Gorey. I'm a linguist. This is a channel all about language. We do everything related to language, really. We do language learning. We do linguistics. We do constructed languages. And by the way, constructed languages is, well, if you clicked on this video, you probably know, this is what we're about to do. We are working on our Conlang with Me project, in which we've been making a family of languages. And we've been making them together with tons of input from the chat. And we are going to, today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a fable that we've written in our main language, which, by the way, is called Yustamia Kal, the language of the fragrant shore, fragrant coast, something like that. And, I'm a fluent speaker. And we are going to sort of work backwards and reconstruct a version of this fable in the proto-language, which then we are going to mess with to make it kind of different from the modern language. And hopefully we can use this as a jumping off point to develop more and cooler things in the future for the whole family. So let's perhaps start by going back over here. And by here I mean our fable. And I need to make this a bit bigger, I think. Yeah. Maybe 200. Okay. Yeah, the screen size is a real problem. But basically we have this fable of the raven and the swan. And I changed it to give it a positive message for the raven. If you haven't watched that episode, I'd recommend it. We had a lot of fun trying to quickly translate this fable in the time that we had. But we made it, and we came up with this fable. So this is a fable about, I'll just read it out to you. So in the original Yustamia Kal, Hoska skopta ivu fazana si yagam payawi kusizi kwawanfi. A raven, which is a thing which is as black as coal, was envious of the swan. Lul nanavia masfa ivu mamasligu aviduch. Because her feathers were as white as the sun. Uzaska snakut si kuli kumimimna. An idea came to the foolish bird. Lu kunavidi aliba panaklapi si papalwi malak sunavi si sazachna si payawi ivu sumani windu uk. If he lived like the swan, who swims and dives all day long and eats the weeds and plants that grow in the water. Lu nanavia payawi ivu masliku lavi wintu. his feathers would turn white like the swans. Ugabin lu kilaya pastansi ma huhum si lu antukti mimas. So he left his home in the woods and fields. And let's scroll down a bit. Pafamantuma patunlaka masumani naltununaspa. And flew down to live in the lakes and the marshes. Lukunavidi palan laksisiva siziva yavalu. But though he washed and washed all day long, pachinu lu mulak wawansim, and almost drowned himself at it, lunanavias chom skazik, his feathers remained black. And here's the positive spin, palufakuli susuva uyu mamagal. And he learned that he was already good. Excellent. So, interesting things about this language phonologically. We have voicing of obstruents in intervocalic position. So you have me struggling to remember this at various times when I'm reciting. So we have this thing that's written like it's mamakal, learned, as the name, the past tense of it's actually mamagal, so magal, to learn. Another one, skazik, remained, skazik. And another thing is the Q and the X are both uvulars, and they back vowel the A vowel when they're next to them. So instead of lak, we have lak. I don't think there's anything else that's too interesting. This is an SOV language. Moving on to the morphosyntax, we have an SOV language. We have some interesting reduplication. We have the past tense being expressed through reduplication. So mamagal, from magal, learn. We have or wawansim. So wansim, drown, wawansim, drowned. We also have the same reduplication occurring in the plural of nouns. So let's see if I can find a version. Oh yeah, nanavia. So navia, feather, nanavia, feathers. And there's something really cool. There's a really cool aspect of the reduplication. Let's see if I can find the example of it that we worked on together. Okay, so when you have, oh, this is so cool. So you have a verb imas, leave, and you want to put this into the past tense. Well, we have this CV reduplication, which takes the first CV and reduplicates it as a prefix. So let's take an easier example. So wansim, to drown. So when we do CV reduplication, we get wawansim, drowned. Past, drowned. Let me sure if I'm out of the way. But what happens with imas, because we don't have this initial consonant? Well, we have to come up with one. And so what we do is we have a default. We have a default consonant that gets taken as part of the reduplicant. So we get T. We have this default T stop that gets added. But then we don't just add T to imas because we don't like vowels in hiatus in this language. So what we do is, and this is fantastic, we copy the next, so we get the consonant that's going to break up this hiatus, we get it from the consonant that's after the vowel. So we get timimas. And you'd think, well, wouldn't it be use the same strategy for both situations where you want to get a consonant? And no, we don't. And that's just how the language is. So that's left or past, leave. Samuel, thank you. There is vowel harmony indeed in this language. Let's see if there's a actually I probably forgot to recite that all together. Let's go over to the grammar. We can see we have rounding harmony. So E becomes U after U earlier in the language, in the word. So let's take a look and see if we can find something. Yeah, sumani is to be sumanu. Sumanu, Another one. Any other ones? Sunavu. Sumanu. Yeah, that would be Kunavidu. Kunavidu, I think. All day long. Kunavidu. So underlyingly we have this, then we have kunafiti, and then we voice our, so the voicing rule, and then we have vowel harmony, and we get kunavidi, and that's our output. Ugabun. Yes, okay. Let's do a derivation of that as well. Actually, let's just put them side by side because that's how you should do these things. So we have our voicing rule, ugabin. Then we have our vowel harmony, ugabin. And then we get ugabin. Fun. So yeah, that's this language in a nutshell. We also made a proto-language. And so that's what we're going to spend, I think, most of our time on today. The proto-language, I have made forms. So how, there's a lot of information on the screen here. We want to focus on, so Yustami Akal, this is the language that we have written our fable in. This is our sort of home base language. Then we have the proto-language, Proto-Call here. And we have some relatives, which are fun. And we will work more on those another time. But can I just, before we, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I really love these languages. And we have something like, let's see if we can find a good, okay, so yeah, we have this imas that we used as the example for our reduplication. In the proto-language, we have umasa as the proto form because we have a lot of vowel shifts to get into Yustami Akal. So we have umasa becoming imas. In language 2, we have unsa. In language 3, we have umas. And we actually haven't generated a form for language 3b. Maybe we can do that very quickly now, just so that we can fill it out. So vowels front before front vowels, not a problem. Going from umasa, schwa deletion, we will delete. Actually, let's just do this all in the proper spot. So we have umasa. Where's my schwa? Where's my schwa? There we are. Umasa, can you see that off to the side there? Let's see if I can. I'll center it a bit for viewing pleasure. Umasa. So to get from protocol to language 3b, nothing happens here. We just have umasa. We get schwa deletion umas. We get intervocalic voicing, which is not going to happen because we've lost the schwa already. We're not going to get into the technical names for these kinds of relationships between rules. Palatalization, nothing there. Nothing happening. B and V becoming an approximant. P and F chain shifting. D and G spirantizing. Stuff with palatals. All right, so it's just going to become umas. That's actually not that exciting. Sorry. So lang 3A and 3B form a clade. They have a common ancestor that does up to schwa deletion. So these two changes here are shared by language 3A and 3B. So there was one point where they were evolving together and then they split off. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. We're here to write a fable. So a fable we shall write. So I think I'm going to need to find another way. There we go. Let's take this and put it on this side. Can we? Can Windows like me? Is that a possibility? Okay, so we have our text here. Whoa. Okay, that's going to increase both of them. I don't know, pretend I know what I'm doing. The words for already. Oh yeah, let's talk. Okay. I'm just gonna get distracted. Thank you, Samuel. The words for already are kind of fun. So we have the proto form facole. In Justamiakal we have faculi. In Lang 2 we have fakle. In language 3a we have abel. And in language 3b we have haurol. Which just makes me smile. I don't know. I absolutely love it. Yes. Okay. That's fun. So we need to make a protoform for this fable. So let's turn back time as we go here. So, where am I going to put my camera? Where am I going to put my camera? Because it is getting out of hand. Maybe I can just... Yeah, there we go. It's called thinking on the fly. That's what that's all about. All right, so I think first what we can do is just straightforwardly go back in time with these forms, and then we can change the grammar so that we're not pretending that nothing happened between these two stages of the language. So let's just go and chaska. So this was huasakwa. And then we need skupta, sequopeta. We'll just do one sentence of this like this, and then we'll play around a bit. So huasakwa, sequopeta, ivu. How do we get ivu? Ufo. All right, how do we get fazana? Fasana. How do we get si? Su. So already we've got most of this. Let's just finish it up. Yagam, yakama. Payawi. I think that's just payawi, yeah. Ku is quo. Sizik. Evil. Sizik wawanfi is a cool idiom. To evil I give. So to be envious of. Now let's see. Sizik evil is Sasuka. Or Sasuka, I think. The stress is still kind of bothering me. And wawanfi. Wanafe. So wanfi is to look, so to look evil, but etymologically it is to give eye. So wanafe. And if we are carrying the reduplication back, it would be wawanafe. I think we can maybe move this over. There we go. Okay, so then let's kind of isolate this sentence a bit, just so we can play around, and let's make this bigger. There we go. Okay. So this is a complicated sentence. We can make a simpler version, I think. Insert some rows. So the raven, let's get rid of this this black as coal thing, and we'll just go here. So a raven, payawi, swan 2, evil. So this is actually a derived form. So this is kind of like suka is will or intent, and suka is bad will. So this is kind of like mal, the prefix mal. Wawanafe, so this is our reduplicant. So the past reduplicant, I give. Okay, so this is what we have here. I think we should have a bit more in this earlier form of the language that we do not, that we lose in before Yustami Akal. And so Payawi, what are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with this? Well, we could have it so that this I give was not the way it was done in the proto-language. So we could say instead of having this I give verb, meaning to look, we could actually have a have fe be the full verb. So that would be something like fe. So he gave the evil eye. Maybe we want this to be a kind of relative clause, like the eye which was evil. So we need to use our relativizer. Sasuka Suwana. And let's update our gloss here. So the eye of evil intent, we call this ill intent. I past give. So the raven literally gave eye of evil intent to the swan. That's the literal translation here. Ooh, that's the wrong button. Okay. So Huasakwa Payawikwo Sasuka Stuwana Fefe. Okay, that's cool. And then we can add in our maybe the proto-language had articles. That's something that we could add. So let's add a little article that's going to get lost in Yustami Akal. And maybe it can just be schwa, because then it makes sense that it was lost. So we'll call this the definite article and we have Ohuasqua Apayawikwo. There we go. The raven gave an eye of ill intent to the swan. So the raven was envious of the swan. What else do we need? Okay, let's translate our little relative clause here. The raven, coal-like, black relative thing. Oh, where is... Okay. Huasakwa sakwopeta ufo fasana su yakama. Payawi kwo sasuka su wanafefe. I don't mind that. But what else can we do? Oh, I have an idea. Let's turn this quo into a verb. Into a verb meaning give. And then let's turn this fe, which we have also another word meaning give. Let's say fe came from a different root. So instead of fe being the original root meaning give, quo would be the original root meaning give. And so we would have payawi wana quo. And where does fe come from? Maybe fe is something like to give to a superior, like to offer up, and then that just becomes the word for give. So yeah, let's do that. So let's say quo. Apologies. Where is it? Quo. So this is actually the verb to give, and in Yustamiya call, it becomes a word with a slightly different meaning. Excuse me. And this means to or for. Great. Okay, so that's a fun change. And then fe. Do we have fe? I don't think we have fe. So let's put that in here. This is give to a superior. Fe. Yeah, it would be fe in the proto-language, I believe. Hota fe. So to give a leg, meaning to run. Great. So this would actually, so all these fe verbs are going to become quo verbs. And in fact, they are not these verb noun compounds. They are just standard verb phrases. So hota quo. So using we'll just put this in as a kind of a reminder. So wana quo. Do we have any other ones? Salo quo. And I'm not sure if we have any other ones. And this would be fi. Okay. Cool. All right, so that's a good start. Oh, I'm sorry, this has gone a little bit off screen. Let's just move it back. There we go. All right, so that we've got the first line done. Wana quo. I wonder how, if we have any languages that have pathways to reduplication. I'm not familiar with any languages in which reduplication has, like this kind of CV reduplication has emerged. I'd have to look that up. That's a kind of an interesting question. How does reduplication come about? But let's not dally with that. We have another line to translate or to back translate. Lo. Okay, so lu goes to lo. Nanavia goes to the same thing. Masfa goes to masafa. A lot of this is fairly simple because these languages are not too divergent from each other. Ivu goes to ufo. Mamasliku goes to mamasaluko. And aviduch goes to, oh, this is a fun one, afitochwe. All right, so let's see if we can align these things here. Oh, Samuel has a comment here. Maybe we can put the tag of the raven in front of the word raven. The blackest coal raven was jealous of the swan. Attributive adjectives and tags are not distinguished in some languages. Yeah, and this is one of those languages. So to make it clearer in the, oops, I didn't put the. Yes. No, sorry. I see your point now. This should actually go beforehand. That is more consistent with the way we have we've been doing this grammar. The only thing, so sorry. Before I do that, I need to reconstruct the thoughts of past Colin. Here, so normally if we were having it be the black as coal raven, I would put it that way. But here I've put it in a positive phrase. So the raven, a thing which is black as coal. So it's actually sequopeta ufo fasana su yakama. So the head of this noun phrase is yakama, thing. But I think this might be a little too Indo-European sounding almost. So what I will do is actually say maybe that was not the case in this proto-language, and we can say the coal-like black, and get rid of thing, raven. Okay, so this becomes the coal-black raven. The black like coal raven gave an eye of evil intent, of ill intent. I think that's nicer. To the swan. Okay. Because her feathers were as white as the sun, we don't have any gender marking on this third person singular. But let's do something fun that happens a lot, which is that the third person singular is going to come from some sort of a demonstrative. So this is this lo in the proto-language. So we're going to need a different way of saying her feathers or its feathers. And so we could just make that up. What is our... Let's use something with the schwa because then we have a nice excuse to get rid of it. We could call it ta, maybe. That will be our new third person singular. I'm just going to put that all the way down at the bottom here. Actually, it might not just be a singular, it's just a generic third person pronoun. But let's make it the third person genitive. And so instead of, so this is his, her, its, etc. And then we'll have a different one for the gosh, it's that time of day where my brain starts to lose sentences in the middle of them. We'll have different forms for the different cases for the pronouns in the proto-language. Te nanafia masafa ufo ma masaluko afitohwe. Because her feathers were as white as the sun. Okay, I like that. Yeah, yes, exactly. So we can have these kind of post-positive tags evolve later in Ustamia call. Maybe Ustamia call is on its way to SVO. Maybe that can be something that we do. Interestingly, I read recently that we don't have very many cases. Some people have said none. I'm always wary of someone who says none. There aren't many cases of SVO to SOV changes in history, but there are plenty of examples of SOV to SVO changes in recorded history, or maybe, I don't know if they're counting reconstructions in that as well, which is kind of interesting. And I don't know what to make of it. But fortunately, for the purposes of making this language family kind of fun, we have an SOV proto-language, so we're free to innovate SVO as far as the cows come home. Okay. So. Okay, I see. Okay, Samuel, you're bringing gold. You're bringing gold to this party. The CV reduplication might be a result of analogy. Maybe in some noun classes, we're talking about noun classes now. Maybe for personal nouns, for nouns referring to persons, we have total reduplication, and for nouns referring to inanimate things, we have singular and plural being identical. And then in that case, maybe the pathway was something like a short word. Maybe there's a word for person, which is like, I don't know, something like, dun, dun, dun. I love our labialized velars here. So something like Juane, just for the sake of argument. And so Juane was person. Juane was people. And over time, because this was such a common word, it just became something like Juane. And then on the basis of that, this CV reduplication became generalized outside of the personal nouns and started to apply to all nouns. Maybe something like that. I don't know. That could work. And so if that's true, we are going to want to get rid of reduplication on feather. And then the question is, maybe this also occurred with verbs, but I'm not 100% on that, because I don't have this same story. Maybe, well, okay, maybe we have part of the same story. So maybe we have things like quo, gave. We have total reduplication for monosyllabic verbs. Maybe there's a very limited idea. What if we have only a few true verbs in this language? We only have a few true verbs in this language. And they're the only ones that reduplicate. Everything else does not. But then later on, other things start to consider themselves true verbs and they start to reduplicate as well. But because the only verbs that reduplicate in the language are monosyllabic, the CV reduplication gets picked up. And because we also have CV reduplication for nouns, it's like this tool that the language has access to. It just runs with it. That could work. Yeah, we also still need to explain the T epenthesis for imas. I feel like there's something juicy we could do with that, but I'm not sure what it is yet. Let's take out our reduplication on the past tense of everything but our true verbs. So masaluko is not a true verb. It is an adjective-y thing, a stative, I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe there is a true verb that goes with it, though. Kind of like hada in Korean. This do verb. Yeah. Okay. So maybe there's a something really light, which means to do. And this means person. And then masaluko ya. And we're not going to express tense in these. Okay, that's another thing. Let's not express tense in these subordinate clauses. Yes. Okay. So no tense in the subordinate clauses. So we get. Just remove this for now. Ta nafia masafa ufo masaluko ya afitohwa. And yeah, so let's see what's going to happen with umasa. Which is going to give us imas in Justamiakal. So since this is not a true verb, Samuel, no, it's absolutely wonderful. If you look over the previous sessions on YouTube, you'll sort of see where some of these things came about and how we've changed our mind on things. But I am absolutely loving these suggestions, so thank you so much. So let's see umasa. So this is not going to reduplicate in protocol. If we go with our quo, our idea that only this very restricted set of monosyllabic verbs will reduplicate. So then what is going to be the historical origin of this? Maybe there's something like Okay. Let's think about this. Maybe monosyllabic verbs reduplicate to form the past, but all other verbs take this past tense marker in front of them. If they're in a main clause. So this would be past left. ta umasa. And what happens is this ta gets wrapped up into the reduplication. And so as you get the start of reduplication in the language for all verbs, you have this. So it will become imas, and we have ta imas. And then that becomes, then that would give us titimas. We want timimas because we're absolutely strange like that. Yeah, I'm not totally sure, but I kind of like this thought that there's a reason why the default consonant in the CV reduplicant is a T. So maybe we can let that percolate for a bit. But I like where we're going with this. So let's say we'll call this past for polysyllabic verbs. And let's see what else we have. Well, let's read the fable to begin with. Asakwopata ufo fasana su hwasakwa, apayawi kwo sasuka su wana kwoko, tanafia masafa uko masalu uko ya afitokwa. Yeah, we will come back to this later. This series is going to continue until we get, I don't know, I don't really have an end in sight for it. There will be an end, because I cannot stay on one project for arbitrary lengths of time, but we will build up towards, I want to say, a relatively complete set of sketches for this family of languages. Anyway, I feel like there's some good creativity flowing here, so I'm gonna try and get, look at the time, maybe one more line done. So usaska snakotsi kuli komimimna. So an idea came to the foolish bird. Really harsh on this raven in this story. It's not good. All right, so now we know that we have this ta. Oh, and it's homophonous with the third person genitive. Interesting. Okay, so I only wish I knew where to click for these things. So this is quo. And kuli should become koli. Si should become su. Usaska. What is usaska going to become? Osasakwa. Oh, I like the sound of that. Osasakwa. And snakut, foolish. Sanakwota, I think. Sanakwota. Okay. Osasakwa sanakwota su koli quo memana. An idea, sanakwota su koli quo memana. And I believe this is nakwata. Nakwata is a word, right? Yeah, wise. So ill-wise. So unwise. Let's line these up for your reading enjoyment. So osasakwa sanakwata su ko. Sorry, let me do that again. I'll do it better. Osasakwa sanakwata su koli quo memena. Okay. All right, we have 5 minutes left. Let's see what we can do. And make sure I don't have any. Yeah, this is a beast of a sentence. Let's see if we can do it. Okay. So we need... I'm just going to do this one at a time. So we need something to replace lu, because we have a new third person singular, or sorry, a new third person pronoun. We need, so these are, I'm going to go down here so no one gets confused. We need something for his, or he, she, it, so the nominative case. We have t for the genitive. We need something else for the nominative. Let's give it something like, I don't know if we want something suppletive here. Let's just have something suppletive for the fun of it. So we'll go so. So that's our original kunafi. Sorry, I'll do this properly. Kunavidi. That's going to become konafetu. So day and night. Alipa or aliba. Alupa. And then we have this pa, which is and, which stays the same. Naklapi becomes nakwalapu. Equals su. Okay, we're going left to right. Oh goodness, it's going off screen. Let's yeah, let's take this, put it on a new line. That's an absurdly large font size. All right, let's keep going. Palwi, palawe, papalawe, ma lak, lakwa. The reflexive pronoun lakwa. And sunavi goes back to sonafe. Apologies for this rather tedious portion. We are going to remove the plural on sasachna, and we are going to sahwana, susahwana, su, payawi, ufo, sumani. What did we have for sumani? Somane. And finally, wenoto, uk, okwa. Okay, so this sentence becomes sokona fetu alupa pa nakwela pusu pa palawe malakwe sonafe su sahwana su payawi ufo somane wenato okwa. Whew. Okay. Do we need anything else? If he lived like the swan, so we have our definite article, which is which is going to confuse all of us English speakers, because that's the indefinite article in English. So if he all day long swim and dive ving. Okay, wait, I've gotten confused. Apologies. We're gonna organize ourselves here. Nope. You get to see how things really happen in the Conlangers world. A lot of organizing things in Excel. It ain't pretty, but it's how it works. Okay, so if he quona fetu alupa, so this is one gigantic noun phrase here. Quona fetu alupapa na qualapu su papalawe malaqua sona fe su saquana su payawi. Holy mackerel. That's too long. That is too long. I think I'm gonna have to revisit that at another time because we're coming to our end. Okay, I will, as homework, make this sentence into something less barbarous and less horrible to say. I want to be able to do it all in one breath in the future. But for now, we have made some strides in the proto-language. We've changed the grammar a bit. I think I'm quite pleased with the story that we're telling. I'm going to put myself back onto the full screen and say thank you to all of you for joining me on this absolutely freezing day. I hope it is not as cold where you are when you're watching this as it is here. It's minus 20 degrees. But we kept ourselves warm and overjoyed with linguistic fun. I don't know. That's my little sign off. I hope that warms your heart. Watching me struggle after 2 hours of speaking and with my voice a bit raw. But okay, no one wants to hear my tale of woe. What I do want to say is thank you so much. If you have watched all the way through this and seen me struggle with Excel, and you are a good person, and reward yourself with the ability to like and subscribe to this channel. Right, that's a reward. And if you do like this video, in particular, leave a comment. Tell me what you'd like me to do next. If you have any ideas for words or things, just leave them in the comments. Always happy to get participation from the community and to build this language together. So that is all for today's stream. Thank you all so much for joining, and I'm going to go drink like a liter of water because my throat is not pleased with me. So thank you all again, and we'll